that we give somebody that hasn't worked or is scared or decides he doesn't want. So every American in this room who earns enough to pay income taxes, over $5,000 for his family in taxes, or $2,500 for his individual, gets to go buy their own land, and they do it with, if they make enough money to buy income, to pay that in income, they pay with money they would have otherwise sent to the government in income taxes. Again, you're just treating them the same as you're currently treating people who haven't worked or provided care. The third group of people are those in America who don't make enough to pay income taxes. And I'm going to forget the margins, you'll fall in the margin, but you'd adjust it proportionally to them. But what we say to them is, look, we want you to be covered, but we don't want you to be in a government plan. We don't want to treat you as a second-class citizen. We're going to give you a stipend to go out and buy your own health insurance plan. You know why? Because if you buy your own plan, you will take responsibility for your own health care. And you will pay more attention to your weight. You'll pay more attention to whether or not you smoke and what smoking does to you. You'll pay more attention to your blood pressure, and you'll pay more attention to your cholesterol. And you'll begin to take a stake in your own health care. I want to end with a story to illustrate why the current system is flawed and creates the wrong incentives. I went to see United States Senator Trent Lott a number of years ago when he was still Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate. He said, John, let's talk about health care. I understand that's one of the things you're passionately interested in. He said, John, I want to tell you a story. I went home last weekend and I said to a member of my family, hey, tomorrow let's go do such and such. And the individual said to Senator Lott, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know if this is son or daughter or wife or whatever. They said, I can't. And the senator said, why? And the individual said, because I had a doctor's appointment. And the senator said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Why are you going to the doctor? And the individual said, I've got a cold. And Senator Lott said, well, it's a little odd. Yeah, I can barely tell that you have a cold, but even if you have a cold, how come you're going to a doctor? I mean, for goodness sake, there are 1,000 over-the-counter medications for a cold. Common colds, not something you really need to go to the doctor for. True story, the individual looked Senator Lott in the eye and said, because it's already paid for, and it's free. Guess what? It's not already paid for, and it's not free. But employer-based health care has given the American people the belief that it's already paid for and it's free. And I think it's also telling doctors and hospitals and insurance plans that it's already paid for and it's free, and we're getting overcharged, and it's time to call a halt to being overcharged. I'm done. You're on. It's your turn. We've got one microphone. I guess we don't have two. And if you'd like to step forward and just stay in the line, don't be shy. In most of our townhouses, we have two lines, so we go back and forth. But we're not going to be able to do that. Ashley, we'll hand you the microphone. Let me just say on the questions. I started out by saying we believe in free speech, and we do. It's perfectly all right with me if you, in your question, briefly state your opinion. I want a single-payer system, Congressman. I want patient choice healthcare system, Congressman. I think you're wrong about this or right about that. You can give me your opinion. That's great. But I will tell you that if you don't get to a question fairly quickly, you'll be getting your moans and groans throughout the room. So we urge you to get to a question as quick as you can. All right? Yes, sir.
The last thing you said was that a family in your plan had a $5,000 tax deduction.
That's not a tax deduction. Here, let me stop right here and just make a quick point. And this is confusing. A tax deduction is based on your income because it's a percentage. And so under a tax deduction, the rich guy will get a huge benefit, and the poor guy, actually the poor guy who didn't pay any income tax, would get no benefit. What this is a tax credit. What a tax credit means is it's dollar for dollar. That is to say, if you pay income tax, say your income tax bill for the year was $8,500. Under this bill, you would be able to take $5,000 and send it to an insurance plan to buy your health care. And you would then send the remaining $3,500, $8,500 minus $5,000, that's $3,500. That's taxes actually owed. You would send the government a check for $3,500. But that's the way to make it so that your health insurance is totally tax-free. So it's a tax credit, not a tax deduction. And also for the poor, right, much better. And it's the only way to equalize the treatment between employer-based health care and individual health care. But you also, for the poor, they would actually get cash. So go ahead with the question.
Well, I was just going to say that my family plan is 2 people, my wife and I. And this guy with Blue Cross Blue Shield is $1,600 a month. We've been told that next January is going to be $2,000 a month. So I'm going to be spending $24,000 a year. And what's $5,000?
Exactly.
Credit to do nothing. I just want to ask, you said before that you're going to make these companies compete, but you never really got to that. Why? Why are they going to compete?
They're going to compete because if they don't compete, they go out of business. No longer, right now, 70% of Americans get their health care through their employer. If you empower Americans to say, I'm going to fire my employer's plan, a lot of us that have employer right here at times get very unhappy. Maybe we think it costs too much. Our employer bought a plan that covers alcohol addiction. I don't want it. Our employer bought a plan that covers chiropractic. I don't want it. So a lot of us, just like a little lady in the Progressive auto insurance commercial, she walks in and says, I want to buy auto insurance. The lady that's there selling the plan says how much she has to spend. She answers the question and says, why? I said, because you tell us how much you have to spend and I'll create a plan that meets your needs. I think the insurance industry, like the health insurance industry, like the auto insurance industry, will have to compete for our business if we're empowered to be buyers. Right now, if you cannot buy health insurance in the individual market other than through your employer unless you're willing to pay for it with after-tax dollars. That's a 40% rental. So my answer is, they don't have to compete, because if they don't compete, they'll go out of business. So trust, I believe it's fair to say that the insurance industry, when you put all the Americans into the market right now, every single person who is insured, plus every one of those 47 million, if it really were 47 million, who's not insured now, all those people now have, if they're individuals, $2,500 to buy a policy. If they're families, $5,000 to buy a policy. And then we'll talk about those numbers. But all of a sudden, every one of those people is empowered to spend at least that amount of money to buy health insurance. I guarantee you, you put that much money out there for someone who wants either has an insurance, health insurance coming out, or wants to create one, my gosh, they're going to start competing with each other, just like Allstate and Progressive and State Farm compete now. Now let's talk about your question on the numbers, because it's a question that we get all the time. I picked for my bill $5,000 and $2,500, recognizing that that's a little bit below the average cost across America. You're just explaining that you got quoted a policy of, would you say, $24,000 a year? $1,600 a month.
It's $1,600 a month. We just got it, and it's going to go to $2,000 in January a month for 2 people.
The issue that comes there is what is the right number. I don't know that $5,000 and $2,500 is the right number. Some people will tell you they're too low, and they wouldn't buy your policy. So before a bill went through Congress, we debate what that number ought to be. But what I would suggest to you is that you can go into the insurance market right now on the internet and find policies for less. And I also would suggest to you that if we had true competition, if you had Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna fighting each other over prices the way Allstate and Geico and Progressive are fighting each other over auto insurance rates, you would see savings come. Now maybe my numbers are wrong. Maybe it would have to be 8,000 family, 10,000 family. I don't know. And maybe the government would say we're going to make the first $10,000 on health insurance tax-free. If you're Bill Gates and you want to buy a $50,000 policy, you got to pay tax on the rest of it. what that number